Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Cecilia, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you've joined us for our next live presentation from Western Exploration. Please note, you can submit questions in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Darcy Marud, CEO and President of Western Exploration, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol WEXPF and on the TSXV under the symbol WEX. Welcome, Darcy.
Cecilia, thank you. Pleasure to be here today, and thank you everybody for joining us. So Western Exploration is a US-based precious metals explorer with projects principally in Nevada, the state of Nevada, in the United States. As Cecilia said, we've been listed on the TSXV since January of 2022, and we've been listed on the on the OTCQX as WEXPF since March of 2022. So relatively new company to public markets, but the company has about a 25-year history exploring in Nevada, principally as a private company up until 2022 and as a public enterprise thereafter. Cautionary statements, I encourage everybody to read these at their leisure. I won't spend much time on them, but just be aware that all information presented in this presentation is included in our technical reports and news release that are on our website, westernexploration.com. So why Western Exploration? I think the first important thing for a mining company is jurisdiction. We know that the world is full of challenges, the least of which we need to worry about is jurisdiction. Nevada is a high quality mining jurisdiction. It's one of the top 3 mining or gold mining countries in the world, if it was a country. To add to that, we've put together an experienced and proven management team. I've been with the company since 2018. Previous to my role here at Western Exploration, I was the Executive Vice President of Enterprise Strategy with Yamana Gold, and previous to that, Senior Vice President of Exploration for both Meridian Gold and Yamana Gold. So my background is predominantly exploration. We've been involved in a number of discoveries across the Americas, and I've put a team together led by Mark Hawksworth as our VP of Exploration. Mark was with me at Meridian Gold and Yamana Gold for about 20 years. And John Cleary, he's been with this project that we'll talk about today since the late 90s. So the two of them bring a ton of experience to the project itself. But again, the team is focused on exploration and deriving success from the drill bit. Our current resource is about 1.3 million ounces of gold equivalent. We do count silver in our resource as we can recover the silver in equal quantities with the gold. We have a new and growing gold discovery called Gravel Creek on our project. Gravel Creek was discovered by the company in 2013 and is one of the most recent gold discoveries located in northeastern Nevada. Dobie George is our second resource area on the project, and very different from Gravel Creek. It's been known since the 90s, but the work that we've completed over the last 3 years has shown it to be a very high grade, one of the highest grade undeveloped open pit projects in northeastern Nevada. And we'll talk a little bit about how we're de-risking that asset towards a pre-feasibility study next year. And last but not least, the project is about 61 square kilometers, of which only about half that has been actively explored. And we have additional areas for expansion drilling that we'll talk about in the presentation. So where are we located? We're about an hour and 10-minute drive north of the city of Elko, Nevada. For those of you that know Nevada, Elko is the largest mining center within the state of Nevada and comparable to some of the largest mining centers in the world. Our access to the project is on a paved highway. You can see it there, Nevada State Highway 225, and our project located in gold at the top of that slide. The project's located within an area called the Independence Range. You can see 3 different projects in that Independence Range: Jarrett Canyon with First Majestic Minerals to the south, Warrior Resources with the Big Sphinx project in the middle, and then us to the north with our Aura project. The combined resources and production out of that area right now total about 14 million ounces of gold. Again, our resource is about 1.3 to 1.4 million ounces gold equivalent. We have water and power grid nearby. The power is within 5 kilometers of our resource areas, and water is even closer. We have 2 permitted water wells, one near our Dobie George resource area and the other near Gravel Creek. We are permitted for drilling until 2028 at Dobie George and 2029 at Gravel Creek and Wood Gulch. So we have a long runway for continued exploration success at the project without needing additional permits. Market share and capitalization, we have about 34.5 million shares outstanding. We did a financing in June of this year. We closed it on June 16th. We raised about $4.6 million Canadian at about $1.55 Canadian. Currently, our shares are trading at about 92 cents Canadian on the TSXV. On a fully diluted basis, we have 40.4 million shares outstanding, including options and warrants that are currently valid with the company. Our shareholder base shows that our largest shareholder, Golconda, owns about 58% of the equity of the company. Golconda is a private equity group out of New York. Within Golconda, there's about 70 high net worth individuals and family offices that have been involved in the company since 2013. Agnico Eagle owns 16% of our equity after completing 2 financings with the company of $7 million each when we were private. The first one in 2017, the second one in 2020. Institutional investors included US Global, Europac, Oramet, and Parkwood, and they hold about 12% of the company equity. Management and directors own about 7% of the outstanding shares. So the Aura project you can see outlined in black is host to 3 mineral deposits, as we mentioned: Dobie George to the west or to the left, Wood Gulch and Gravel Creek to the east or to the right. You can see those large areas of gray. Those are areas of prospective geology, geochemistry, and geophysics. So they're about 2 to 3 times larger than the current deposits, offering exploration potential outside of the current known mineral resource areas. An additional area, Maggie Summit, has been discovered over the last 2 years between Dobie George and Wood Gulch and has all the geological, geochemical, and geophysical characteristics of both Dobie George and Wood Gulch, and will be permitting Maggie Summit this year so that we can commence drilling there in 2024. On this map, the bright colors are the Miocene volcanics, or the younger volcanics that are probable causes for the mineralization, and the darker or bluer colors are the underlying sedimentary rocks. The contact between the 2 colors is where our mineralization is typically hosted. Current resource base, as we discussed, is about 1.3 to 1.4 million ounces. It's split between 3 different resource areas. The Dobie George, as we saw to the far west of the project, is at surface oxide deposit of about 525,000 ounces of gold at about 1 gram per ton gold. Wood Gulch was near the Gravel Creek discovery. It was mined by Homestake in the late 80s, early 90s. There's a remnant resource there of about 105,000 ounces. And then Gravel Creek, which is our new discovery, quite different from Dobie George and Wood Gulch, that it is sulfide and at depth. But we have a resource there of about 750,000 ounces of gold at just over 5 gram per ton gold equivalent. So very significant resource base. This 43-101 compliant resource was updated last in October of 2021, and we look to update that again in the new year or in 2024. Talking first about Dobie George, which is our most advanced resource area on our project. You can see in this slide, the blue are the $1,800 gold pits. So very robust open pits containing the mineralization that's outlined there. In gold are the 1 gram per ton resource blocks. In red are the 2 gram per ton resource blocks. So very continuous mineralization above that 1 gram number. Our metallurgical work in the past was defined by 52 bottle rolls and 23 columns. That indicated a 70% average recovery with a 2-stage crush, which would be roughly 1 inch. We're currently doing additional metallurgical work. We've completed 46 bottle rolls, which indicated roughly a 70% recovery, so in line with historical numbers. And we're currently completing 12 column leach tests that should be wound up here within the next week, and we look forward to reporting those to market shortly thereafter. The infrastructure, as we said, is very nearby. Power and road access are within 10 kilometers of the project, as is water. And many of the infrastructure that we plan on developing for the project would be located in the lower end of that slide, on the lower left-hand part of that slide on our private land, where we have access through a mineral lease. So we see significant exploration potential to expand the mineralization. You can see that it's open below the open pits. And again, those permits are valid till 2028, giving us sufficient time to do additional exploration. We completed drilling in 2022 for metallurgical test work. I wanted to show you some of these drill hole results because I think they exemplify the high grade nature of Adobe George deposit, which is unique amongst what we're seeing of some of the most recent news releases coming out of Nevada for open pit heap leach deposits that are averaging between 0.5 and 0.6 gram per ton. The numbers that we're seeing from our resource or from our exploration that we completed last year, you can see a high of 74 meters of 1.71 gram per ton in the middle, but we've got results up to 26 meters of 7 gram per ton gold from the Twilight area. So all of those results are indicating resource grades that are above our current resource. So we're looking forward to completing a resource update early in 2024. We think we have potential to add to the grade in the resource. And certainly, as we see on these sections AA prime, BB prime, and CC prime, we'll look at those where we think we can expand that resource going forward. So looking at Dobie George AA prime, you can see the West Ridge pit at the top of the section. The mineralization continues and it's open below the pit. We completed geophysics this year that appears to demonstrate that that mineralization is wide open towards that left-hand part of that slide. We are going to propose drilling there next year with reverse circulation drilling to continue defining that deposit at depth. In 2017, we drilled D748. It was designed to test different stratigraphy below the gravel or the Dobie George deposit. It did not find the different stratigraphy, but it identified similar mineralization to what we currently have in our resource, but 600 meters below surface with a best intersect of 6 meters of 7.24 gram per ton gold. So very robust exploration potential below the current deposits. We don't know at this point how far that mineralization extends, but we look forward to starting that drilling next year to continue expanding the deposit to depth. Why we think this is going to grow, if you look at BB prime, that's right in the middle of the open pit, and you can see the gold again are the 1 gram per ton resource blocks, the red are the 2 gram per ton. If you step to CC prime, which is on the bottom of that section, it's 100 meters further to the southeast, and that blue line where the mineralization should project has no drilling at all on it. So it's wide open for expansion to the southeast, and importantly, that will be trending right onto the private fee land that we have access to. So why do we think Dobie George is a high quality asset within a small company? The grade there you can see is in the higher quartile of known open pit heap leach deposits in the United States and in particular Nevada. The blue bars are open pit heap leach opportunities. The gray bars are open pit milling opportunities. So they're at a higher cutoff, thus the higher grade. But Dobie George certainly is in the upper quartile by grade. And we think as we continue to de-risk the deposit through metallurgy, it'll become very apparent that we've got a high recovery, high grade at surface oxide deposit within or very near infrastructure within one of the highest quality jurisdictions in the world. Moving to Wood Gulch and Gravel Creek, although they occur in similar geologic environments to the Dobie George deposit that we just talked about, they're very different in nature in that they're probably epithermal and they're younger. The geologic similarities between Gravel Creek and Wood Gulch were discovered when we acquired Wood Gulch in the late 90s. Historical production from that asset was about 650,000 tons at about 3.4 gram per ton gold and 24 gram per ton silver. In 2013, we realized that the controls to that deposit were northwest faults at the contact between the sediments and the overlying volcanics. We stepped out 1 kilometer with WG373, and on that first hole, we intersected the Gravel Creek discovery with 29 meters of 3.4 gram per ton gold and 59 gram per ton silver. So very successful step out. Since that time, we've drilled 85 holes in Gravel Creek and have established that resource of almost 800,000 ounces of gold equivalent in Gravel Creek. No drilling has been completed between the two deposits since then, even though the geology is similar and remains wide open. We do have alteration in geochemistry with an area of about 3 by 5 kilometers surrounding both Wood Gulch and Gravel Creek, and exploration going forward will focus on extending the footprint of the two deposits and potentially connecting them together. How we plan on doing that? In Gravel Creek, this section, the green color is our underlying sediments. The volcanics would sit on top of it, but have been removed for viewing. There's only 3 holes between Wood Gulch and Gravel Creek that were drilled in the past, and they've returned up to 11 gram per ton gold and over 300 gram per ton silver right at that contact where the Gravel Creek and Wood Gulch mineralization occur, but have never been followed up. In addition, you can see the Gravel Creek deposit to the right. The Gravel Creek deposit, as we were drilling it at deep, we intersected a number of high-grade veins to the right of the slide or above the deposit. Those veins have never been included in the resource because we weren't sure of the orientation of those veins. We did drilling this year. We're waiting for results, but that drilling was based on pulling those high-grade hits back into the resource area around Gravel Creek. If successful with that drilling, we will have expanded the Gravel Creek deposit by at least 400 meters to the northeast. The drilling, as you can see there, has returned results of up to 9 meters drill width, which would be about 4.5 meters true width, with grades in excess of 40 gram per ton gold and up to 2 kilos of silver. So the average width of Gravel Creek is about 20 meters. So that'll be amenable to bulk underground mining methods, which means low cost. We are focusing, as I said, on those areas of high grade intercepts. It occupies an area of about 1.5 by 2.5 kilometers that connects Wood Gulch to Gravel Creek and then off to the northeast. And we've got permits in place till 2029, so a lot of runway to continue doing the exploration at this project. Metallurgical recoveries, it is refractory to cyanide leaching, but we know that it recovers very well to a float concentrate. We get recoveries of about 95% of the gold and silver to a concentrate with an average grade of about 4 ounce per ton gold and 50 ounce per ton silver. So a very marketable concentrate that can be sold to any one of the autoclaves or roasters that are located in Nevada. In addition, we did cyanide leaching of the concentrate, and we were able to recover about 60% of the gold and the silver doing that. So going forward, we will look at fine grinding the concentrate to produce a doré on site as well. That metallurgical work will commence next year. So our geologic model, you can see here for Gravel Creek, the Wood Gulch deposit on the left, that area called the Gap in the middle, and Gravel Creek on the right. The overlying volcanics in the pink, we think those are what is driving the mineralization, as the mineralization is within it. The mineralization forms on these big faults. You can see them there in blue. The one called the Gravel Creek Fault going through the Gravel Creek deposit, and the other one called the Thomasina Fault going into the Wood Gulch deposit. We've defined 4 targets around and based on that geologic interpretation. Target 1 is that gap area. You can see hole 421 hit mineralization right at the contact where Gravel Creek and Wood Gulch occur and has never been followed up. Target 2, we're drilling this year. That is that extension of the northeast high-grade veins, and you can see some of the grades there where on the left-hand side in that table where it says Jarbidge, we get grades in excess of 1 ounce per ton locally and kilos of silver over up to 4 meters true width. Target 3 is extending the deposit down dip. It's still wide open. And target 4 is looking for an analog to Gravel Creek at Wood Gulch. We think that the feeder zone for Wood Gulch has never been drilled. There's only those 2 holes, 355 and 366, or 360, sorry, that it intersected roughly where that feeder zone should hit, and they returned anomalous values over wide widths with values of up to 11 gram per ton gold and 300 silver locally. So 4 targets that, if successful, would expand the footprint of the Wood Gulch Gravel Creek deposits from about 900 meters to over 3 kilometers. So significant exploration potential that we're working on. Why do we think this gap target is so important? On that colored map on the upper left-hand side, you can see the contrast between the reds and pinks and the blues. Those are the big feeder faults. So those are where the mineralization comes up. You can see the Saddle Wood Gulch deposits on the left and a similar subparallel fault on Gravel Creek on the right. Those are major controlling structures, but we've identified a third structure that goes right through their gap area and connects Wood Gulch through Gravel Creek and continues to the northeast. When we went back and looked at the old data, we noticed that that northeast trending feature hosts the majority of the high grades in both the Wood Gulch and Gravel Creek deposits, and you can see those on that table on the right. At Wood Gulch, we're getting up to 13 meters of 27 gram per ton gold and 400 silver. And if we look at Gravel Creek, which is a kilometer away on strike and a kilometer deeper down, we're getting similar widths, gold grades, and silver grades. So that's an area that's more than a kilometer by a kilometer where we continually get these high grades that we didn't know how they connected before, but we think this northeast feature that goes to the gap is key to hosting those high grades in both of those deposits. Why do we think Gravel Creek can continue to expand? If you look at this map, last year we went back on surface, so very low cost exploration, and we looked at the area above Gravel Creek, and what we found in that Discovery Hill area was anomalous gold, silver, arsenic, and antimony with molybdenum, all controlled by northeast trending breccias and vein zones on the surface. Further to the northeast, we discovered North Badger about a kilometer away, and it had an identical geochemical signature as Discovery Hill, excuse me, with no drilling in the area between Gravel Creek and North Badger. You can see also that red color, those are the anomalous gold soil geochem values following that northeast trend in geophysics from Discovery Hill to North Badger. So we've identified an area on that northeast trend going from right from Wood Gulch through Gravel Creek and off to North Badger that's over 2.5 kilometers long. And currently only one drill hole has cross-cut that feature. This year we completed an additional 2 to 3 holes to the north of Gravel Creek, and those results are pending. If successful, we will have identified a northeast control as well as that northwest control, which will significantly expand the footprint of the Wood Gulch Gravel Creek mineralization. Upcoming catalyst, we completed our geophysics and drilling program in late Q3. The geophysics will be updating with the Dobie George column test results here shortly. The column tests are winding down. We're currently rinsing them. We believe that those will demonstrate an improvement to recovery at Dobie George. And the geophysics clearly indicate that the Gravel Creek and the Dobie George deposits are open at depth and along strike. The drill results will come to market as soon as those are available from the assay lab, and we expect to have the drill results from Gravel Creek available in Q4 of this year, probably in late October through the late part of November. Next year, we'll take all of the results generated from the campaign this year, create a new technical report for both Gravel Creek and Dobie George, which would include a PEA level study on Dobie George demonstrating the economics of the project. And further afield, we'll complete a pre-feasibility study by the end of next year on Dobie George. So I think we've got a lot of catalysts upcoming for the project. I think we're unique in the space that we do offer the opportunity to participate in an advanced exploration project and a de-risking of the Dobie George asset, while we're also doing drilling at the Gravel Creek and Wood Gulch deposit looking for a major new discovery. So with that, I think I can conclude the presentation and we'll open it up for questions at this point. So the first question, are your projects all greenfield? At this point, I would say that they're a combination of greenfield. At Gravel Creek, I would call that greenfield where we're looking to expand that resource. But the Dobie George is certainly nearing a brownfield stage where we're currently doing a lot of lab work with metallurgy to better understand final crush size to get an optimized recovery. And again, we'll be updating that as soon as that's available, but we will also be looking at updating the market on those metallurgical results as soon as they're available and completing a PEA in Q2 of next year. Our capital needs to support our upcoming catalysts. Of course, as a junior company, we're always looking for capital to advance the assets. Currently, we have about 1.7 million Canadian in the treasury, which should allow us to complete our metallurgical work and complete the technical report in Q1 and Q2 of next year. Any further drilling in the PFS would need to raise additional funding. We'd look to do that in Q4 of this year or Q1 of next year. Do we have a projected all-in sustaining capital cost for, or all-in sustaining cost for our projects? At this point, no, since we have not completed a PEA level study. But given the grades at Dobie George that we're seeing and the high recoveries that we're seeing, we anticipate that that would be probably somewhere in the $800 to $900 range. At Gravel Creek, I think it's a little too early for us to estimate what those would be, but it would be quite different given that it would be underground, but higher grade. So I don't have an estimate at this point for Gravel Creek. I'll pause for a second to see if there's any additional questions. I don't see any additional questions at this point, so let me take the opportunity to thank everybody for listening in. Thank the OTC for the opportunity for Western to present. And it was a great pleasure talking to everybody today. And as always, we are open for follow-up calls with either Nicole Cowles, who's on the call with me, our Director of Investor Relations, or myself. So thank you very much for the time to speak with you today.